Welcome to Larp Academia. Today we're going to talk about what you get as a first level scout. But before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ding that notification bell. Hello there. I see that you want to play a scout. You want to move through the underbrushes and scout the enemy, and that's not what a scout is, although you can do it if you want. Scouts are a jack of all trades and master of none. As a scout, you will have your typical green sash. Ours is broken at the moment, so this is all that we have. But you'll want a green sash from hip to shoulder. And you will have a little bit of everything. Now, the first little bit of everything that you get is that you can wear up to 3 points of armor. That's as much as a barbarian. A jack of all trades, if you will, because you get some of the second best armor in the game, but you don't have as much as a warrior. You also have the capability to wield a shield, a small shield to be precise. Not a medium shield or a large shield, only small. And to make things even weirder, because you are a jack of all trades, you do have the capability to wield a bow, but if I do so, I can't have a shield on me. I cannot carry a bow and a shield at the same time. It's a weird restriction. Think of it as they're both negatively charged and just repulse from each other, or whatever other reason you'd want. It helps your maneuverability to only carry one weapon if it's a shield or a bow anyways. You don't want both burdening you, and you want to be mobile. That's because of all the different things that you get. Now, as a scout, you don't have any specialty arrows, so you're not the best archer out there. You also have throwing weapons. You are able to use heavy thrown, not light thrown, but heavy thrown. So you're not the best at throwing weapons, that's for an assassin, but you do have a little bit of throwing potential. As for weapons, for melee weapons, you are able to wield a dagger, a short sword, and a long sword. You can't use all melee. You can't use flail, javelins, or those other things. It's not your specialty. You don't have a specialty. You just have a little bit of everything. Of course, a short and a long is probably some of the best melee weapons you could get, aside from a great, of course. But as you see, you have a shield, potentially. You have a bow, potentially. You have melee weapons that maybe aren't all that you could choose from. You have armor that's not the best, but you have a little bit of everything just from your equipment set. Your abilities will also complement this and round out your jack-of-all-tradiness as you level up. Now, the first ability that you get is, surprisingly, a unique ability for scouts. It's called tracking. Tracking is to take those out of insubstantial. So when someone is insubstantial, hidden like an assassin, you can say, "Assassin in black, tracking, tracking, tracking," and then they're out of their insubstantial state. Now, you can do this in a whole bunch of different ways, and it's probably the most powerful ability that the scout gets. But before we get into all the extra uses of tracking, what you need to know is that it is 2 per life, extraordinary. So you can cast it while with weapons in hands. "Assassin in black, tracking, tracking, tracking." And you can cast it while moving since it's ambulant. "Assassin in black, tracking, tracking, tracking." That short incant is extraordinarily important. You only have to say 3 words in order to track someone out of their insubstantial state. It can completely counter someone's class abilities, and it can also help your team and allies. But what if you run out of tracking? You only have 2 per life, right? That doesn't seem like enough. So, Scout has the ability to charge their tracking ability. Now, how you do the charge incant is that you do need a free hand and you have to stand still, and you must say, "Out of battle I pause to rest. I take some time to catch my breath. Return to me my fleeting power to aid me in my darkest hour." 3 times. You can only charge your tracking when you are completely out of tracking abilities, and you can only charge up to 1. So if I track someone, "Assassin in black, tracking, tracking, tracking," "Scout in green, tracking, tracking, tracking," I can now charge my tracking up to 1 usage of it. Now, there are some good ways to use tracking. I already stated that you could track an assassin who's hidden in the shadows, but you can also do it for your own team. What if a barbarian bomb is sent into the enemy's team? If you want to know what a barbarian is, check our video on barbarians down in the description below. But your barbarian's sent into the enemy team, and they need to do an incant to get out of insubstantial. Everyone's going to hear them, and it's just not going to work out. So what you can do is you could say, "Barbarian in red, tracking, tracking, tracking." At this point, no one knows really who you're talking to. They're trying to look around, and the barbarian just starts swinging and killing people. It's a great way to use teamwork for tracking. Tracking is also useful for bards. When they're in their Song of Survival, you can track them out so that they can then come back. and then they'll be able to use it again. If someone is being lost by a bard or thrown away somewhere and they're insubstantial, you can track them out of it as well. Tracking can be used defensively, offensively, it can be used with your team. Tracking is an amazing ability, and if used correctly, can differentiate a normal scout and a master scout, who is just someone who the enemy does not want to fight against. That is your first level equipment, your tracking ability, and I'd love to see what you think about tracking in the comments below. Do you use it primarily on assassins? Do you use it for other classes? Do you actually use it to help your team? Did you think of these things? I would love to hear more about how you have used tracking and what you think of tracking. Until next time, keep LARPing.